everyone, welcome. My name is Amber Weinberger and I'm a Customer Success Manager on the Chrome OS team. Today, I'm going to walk you through how to get started with Chrome Enterprise. Whether you're considering Chrome OS devices for the first time or are ready to deploy, I'll walk through each deployment step so you can understand how easy it is to manage devices, users, applications, and extensions. If you're listening live and have any questions, please submit them below this video player and we will be able to answer them live during the event. For the agenda today, here's what we'll cover. First, we'll get how to get started with Chrome Enterprise. If you're new, the first step is assessing how ready your workforce is to switch to Chrome OS and then purchasing the right solution. If you're ready to deploy, you'll begin by verifying your domain and enrolling devices. Next, we'll define your admin roles and permissions for your super admins or other admins that need customized permissions. Then, we'll set up organizational units and user accounts and learn how to deploy applications to your enterprise fleet and manage the 3 modes of Chrome OS. After that, we'll configure security settings for devices, apps, and extensions, including how to lock down your entire fleet. And lastly, we'll set up manage guest sessions to get devices up and running quickly on VDI solutions such as Cameo, Citrix Workspace, Parallels, and VMware Horizon. So let's get started. First, let's take a poll. Where are you at in the Chrome OS deployment journey? The poll will pop up to the right of this video for you to choose an answer that best fits you. Perhaps you're new and considering Chrome OS devices for your workforce for the first time. The first step is to assess which employees and devices in your workforce are ready to move to a cloud-first environment and which will need a solution for assessing legacy applications. To make this process easier, we've launched the Chrome OS Readiness tool to help identify who in your organization is ready to switch to Chrome OS. You can download this tool today by clicking the link in the resource section below. Let's take a look and see how it works.
In this video, we are going to cover how to configure and deploy the Chrome OS Readiness tool to your managed Windows devices. Before you begin, you'll need to download and install the Chrome OS Readiness Tool Bundle from the product page to a device on your network with administrator access. This installation will contain several different files. First, open chrome_os_readiness_wizard.exe to start the setup wizard. You will then need to specify storage locations so the tool can write results and read configuration data. There are 2 options supported here. For network file shares, select paths to 2 existing shared folders, one that is write-only for clients for results, and the other that is read-only for configuration. For the most streamlined configuration, you can provide a service account key for your Google Cloud Storage account, and the tool will configure the appropriate directories in cloud storage buckets. View the GCS configuration video for steps to obtain that key. Go ahead and click Next. You can leave the settings on the next page as defaults. For test deployments, consider changing total data collection days to 1 or 2 days so you can confirm everything works end-to-end. Click Next. Specify a location where the tool should write the PowerShell configuration script that will deploy the tool. Click Next and you are ready to deploy. Now that you have generated the PowerShell configuration script, you can use your preferred software deployment solution to designate a group of devices to which you will deploy the tool, execute the PowerShell configuration script on those devices, and push the Chrome OS Readiness System service.msi out to the desired endpoints. For more information, see the documentation for your deployment software. On restart, the service will begin collecting data from the devices. Once devices have reported data back after the collection period, you can use provided tooling to generate summary reports. We also recommend that you examine our base library for application classifications and begin to investigate additional applications that are relevant for your use cases, and update edit_set.json for best results. In this video, we are going to cover how to set up your Google Cloud Storage account for use with a Chrome OS Readiness tool deployment. If you have not already, you must create a Google Cloud project. Details on how to create a project and set up billing can be found at the link in the description of this video. Next, we'll walk through how to create a service account that will be used by the Chrome OS Readiness tool. To get started, click on the hamburger menu in the top left of the Cloud console. Go to I am an admin, then Service Accounts. There will already be a few service accounts listed, but these should not be used for the trial machines as they have much higher privileges than necessary. Click on Create Service Account at the top of the page to create a new one. Give your service account a name. Then click Create. If you plan to configure the tool with the Setup Wizard, you will need to assign additional project roles when creating the service account. Add the following roles in Grant the Service Account Access to Project: Service Account Admin, then Service Account Key Admin, and Storage Admin. Click Continue, then Done. You will also need to enable the Identity and Access Management IAM API. You can search for APIs by going to the navigation menu. Select APIs and Services, then Library. Find Identity and Access Management IAM API by typing in the search bar. Then click Enable. Your service account is ready for use with the Setup Wizard. Next, you need to create a key. Return to the hamburger menu. Choose I am an admin, then Service Accounts. Click on the service account you just created. Under Keys, click Add Key and choose Create a new JSON key. Note that this will download the key to your machine. After it is downloaded, it is not possible to get this key again, so if the key is lost, you will need to create a new one. A key can simply be deleted to revoke it, and a service account can be deleted or deactivated if necessary. Once downloaded, you can specify the path to this account key in the Setup Wizard UI, and the tool will create and configure GCS buckets appropriately for you. When you generate the configuration script, you will also need to copy and use a provided decryption key to deploy in your preferred software management solution.
Once you've assessed which employees are ready to make the switch, it's important to identify which Chrome OS devices are right for each use case. We've created a guide to help in the selection process. You can find this guide linked below. Introducing new technology to your workforce can be challenging, so we have put together an employee communications toolkit with downloadable and customizable resources to help encourage Chromebook adoption and ensure that it's a success across the organization. You can find this toolkit linked below. Now, if you're ready to deploy or already deploying Chrome OS devices, you are in the right place. Let's dive in and see how easy it is to deploy Chrome OS without breaking a sweat. The first step is to verify your domain.
Domain verification is important to ensure that your Chrome Enterprise Management capabilities are available and unlocked. In this video, we're going to show you how to verify your domain. As you can see, the Chrome devices icon is grayed out. The next steps will unlock this tile. After logging in, navigate to the Google Admin Console homepage. On the top left, you see Setup Admin Console. Click here to get started. Go ahead and select Click Here. You're going to find lots of helpful information and even a video to get you going to help you verify your domain. Go ahead and click Next. Locate your DNS provider in the drop-down menu, and unique instructions will appear based on your selection. In this case, the DNS provider was not listed, and Other was selected. After selecting Other, a random string of text will be generated by the Google Admin Console. You or your DNS admin must paste this text string into your DNS provider's console as a new TXT record. This allows the Google Admin Console to link to the domain. Propagation could take 30 minutes to a few hours, depending on your DNS provider. Once the DNS entry has been propagated, click Verify. And that's it. You have now successfully verified your domain. It may take a few minutes or up to a half hour for all systems to sync. Navigate back into your admin console and click on Devices. Your Chrome Enterprise Management tile is now unlocked. After verifying your domain, you now have access to Google Support. You can access support on the homepage of the Google Admin Console by clicking on the question mark in the top right or through the support icon on the bottom right.
Once your domain is verified, you're ready to enroll your devices.
You can enroll devices quickly. Let's walk through the steps to enroll your Chrome devices. Since Chrome OS is a cloud-native operating system, all you need is an internet connection to Enterprise enroll your device. Simply connect to a wireless network and off you go. Once you're connected, Chrome OS will check and apply the latest security patches and operating system updates in the background. When the Enterprise updates are completed, start the sign-in process. To Enterprise enroll your device, select More Options at the sign-in screen and choose Enterprise Enrollment. You can also press Ctrl-Alt-E to get to the enrollment screen. Log in with your admin account or a user account with enrollment permissions. And in a matter of seconds, your device is now Enterprise enrolled, unlocking Chrome Enterprise policies and management capabilities. You now have a managed device. The user is ready to sign in. You're all set. If you want to double-check that your Chrome device was enrolled, you should see the count increase in our Chrome devices tile.
Now that you've unlocked Chrome Enterprise policies and management capabilities across your fleet, let's take a look at how to use the admin console.
In this demo, you'll learn about navigating the Chrome admin console and features. Let's get started. First, select Devices to view the list of devices that you've enrolled into the domain. You can see details like when the device was enrolled or when the last policy sync occurred. Now, let's drill down into more device details. In this view, you can see information such as the version of Chrome OS that's installed. You can also see a list of the recent users who have logged into the device. At left, you can see a list of actions to take, like disabling the device. That's very useful if a device has been lost or stolen. The deprovision action removes enterprise policies from the device, which comes in handy if you're retiring a device from your fleet. When we go back to devices, we see there's a drop-down menu you can use to quickly switch between different sections of the admin console. The Apps and Extensions page lets administrators select apps that can be installed or blocked. The admin console supports many apps, including Chrome apps, extensions, Android apps, and progressive web apps. To add an app, hover over the plus symbol and choose one of the available options. You have the option of adding apps from the Chrome Web Store, Google Play, or Chrome app, or you can add them by extension ID or URL. Let's go ahead and choose the Chrome Web Store. Search for Slack, then choose the application. Here you see that you have the option to set an installation policy. This is commonly used to force install an app without requiring user interaction. If you navigate to Device Settings, you can see that the first option enforces re-enrollment if a device has been power washed or reset. This way, you can make sure that the device will be re-enrolled into your domain and that all policies will be enforced. Let's use the search option to find the update settings. Updates are automatically applied with Chrome OS. You have flexibility in how updates are deployed and applied. For example, you can pin a specific version or schedule a rollout plan. Let's navigate to the User and Browser setting. Use the search option to quickly navigate to SSO settings. You can configure Chrome OS to leverage a third-party identity provider. This lets you set up single sign-on and user provisioning. If we navigate to the network settings, you see that administrators can configure network settings such as Wi-Fi and VPN. In addition, administrators can configure these settings to auto-connect to specific networks and also restrict which networks are allowed.
It's a pretty quick process to get set up, but we're here to help throughout the deployment journey. In this next video, you'll see how to contact Google Chrome support through both the Help Center and the Admin Console.
In this video, we are going to show you how to get access to the support team from the Admin Console and the Google Chrome Enterprise Help Center. Let's start with the Admin Console. There are a few different options to get support from the admin home screen. You can click the support icon or the help icon in the top right corner. Wherever you are in the Admin Console, you always have access to the help icon in the top right. Let's first choose the help icon to open up the Help Assistant. Once opened, you have two options. You can choose Search for Help, which directs you to general articles in the Help Center to try to help you self-solve, or you can choose to contact support. Let's contact support by clicking the button and then choosing Phone. Here you'll want to describe your issue that will be passed along to our agent. First, the assistant will give you Help Center articles to try to see if it can help you self-solve for your issue. If the articles don't answer your issue, it will prompt you to the phone number. You will also be given a PIN number. Your PIN is going to be required for opening a ticket with support. This is to help validate where you are in the Admin Console, as well as to validate your identity to make sure that you have access to the account. Now, let's see how you can access the support team through the Google Chrome Enterprise Help Center. Navigate to support.google.com/chrome/a. Make sure you are logged into your admin account and search Contact Us. From there, you will be directed to a Help Center page where you will have three options to contact support: hardware support, software and services support, and troubleshooting resources. Under hardware support, you will see a list of manufacturers' support phone numbers, as well as links to their support page. If you are having a hardware issue, we recommend contacting your provider. Under software and services support, you can contact support by phone or through the Google Cloud Support Help Center. Remember, if contacting by phone, you will need to get a PIN number from the Admin Console. Under troubleshooting resources, you will find various help centers and help forums. Another way to contact support is to click on the top left menu and select Contact Us. On this page, you will have access to the phone support number, as well as being able to open up a support case through the Google Cloud Support Center. These options are also available by clicking Contact Us on the upper right-hand corner. To learn more, visit the Google Chrome Help Center.
That's a wrap for our first segment on how to get started with Chrome Enterprise. In this next segment, we'll learn about creating and assigning administrative roles, as well as enabling enrollment permissions for your organization. First, let's focus on defining the role of super admin as it relates to the Google Admin Console.
From the Admin Console homepage, click Admin Roles. Let's first discuss the privileges of a super admin. Anyone assigned to this role will have full access rights to the Admin Console. This will include access to all products purchased by your organization, including Chrome Device Management, Gmail, Drive, and many others. Day-to-day administration will not require super admin privileges. However, some activities such as modifying super admin users, managing billing, and accepting terms and conditions will require this level of access. Super admin roles must be Google identities. Therefore, they cannot be assigned to a user expecting to authenticate through SSO federated services such as Azure AD. In best practices, create super admin accounts with a different UPN that won't be confused with an admin's primary email address. We will now assign a user to the super admin role. Click Assign Admin. Now click Assign Role. Inside the text field, type the username of your new super admin and click Assign Role. The new user will now show up in the list of super admins and will have full administrative privileges on their next login. As a final note, admin roles can also be assigned under individual user settings, and we will cover this in the third video of the series.
Now, let's see how to create custom administrative roles to manage your company's Chrome devices.
Click on Admin Roles from the Google Admin's home screen. We will now begin to create a custom admin role with permissions that would typically be used by a Chrome administrator. Your choice of privileges may vary from our example, and feel free to modify as necessary. Click Create New Role. Give your role a name and add a description. Now click Continue. In this example, we will be selecting a fairly robust list of permissions that can be assigned to individual OUs. From the list, start selecting privileges. First, select Organizational Units. This will give full access to add and subtract sub-OUs the administrator is responsible for. At minimum, you should allow read access. Under Users, we are allowing our admins to have access to support users under the OUs they will be assigned. At minimum, you should allow read access. Select Read. Then under Update, let's select Move Users, Suspend Users, Reset Password, and Force Password Change. Next, scroll until you find the first section titled Chrome Management. Select all the options here to give access to control all Chrome browser settings. Continue to scroll down to the section Shared Device Settings. Click Manage All Common Device Configurations. This option allows the admin to install SSL root certificates and configure Wi-Fi policies with support across Android and Chrome OS devices. Next, select Settings under Chrome Management. This will give the admins the ability to manage all Chrome policies for the OUs they will be assigned. Once finished, click Continue. The next screen recaps everything you have selected. After a quick review, select Create Role. We are now going to create a new role that provides access for admins to be able to create support tickets with Google from the admin console. Click Create New Role. Give your role a name and add a description. Click Continue. Scroll down until you find Support. Select it as the only privilege and click Continue. Select Create Role. You have now successfully created 2 necessary roles and are ready to apply them to the IT staff focused on Chrome OS management.
Next, let's focus on applying the 2 pre-configured custom administrative roles to individual users.
From the Admin Console home screen, click on Users. Select a desired admin user by clicking on their name. Find the section Admin Roles and Privileges and click on Assign Roles. Under the Roles section, locate the role we previously created, called Chrome Admins. Click the toggle next to the name to enable the role. To the left, you will see a bubble titled All Organizational Units. Notice the edit icon that looks like a pencil. This icon indicates these privileges can be applied to individual OUs. Go ahead and click the bubble. Uncheck the top-level OU and select the OUs you want to give the user access to. Then click Done. Next, let's add access to create a support ticket. Toggle on the Ticket Admin. Notice there is no bubble icon with the ability to edit OUs. This is because the support role is an organization-wide privilege. Therefore, it can't be assigned to individual OUs. Other privileges, such as the Reports feature and modifying domain settings, also fall into this category. It is important not to mix these 2 types of permissions when planning to apply privileges to individual OUs. Once finished assigning roles, click Save. The next time this user logs in, they will now have limited access to manage Chrome devices and have the ability to open support tickets with Google.
The last video will be focused on applying enrollment permissions to users. Let's take a look.
Enrollment permissions are actually set through the Chrome user and browser policies and is not an admin privilege. Any or all users can be configured to have the ability to enroll devices to the admin console. In our example, we'll be using an account created specifically for enrolling devices. It will have no assigned admin roles and will be used strictly by the staging team. This user was previously created, but let's go ahead and verify the user is in the proper OU. From the Google Admin home screen, select Users. Now select the desired user by clicking on the user's name. Just under the name, you will see the user's current OU location. In our example, the account is already in our Enrollment OU. If you need to move the user, simply select More, and then select Change Organizational Unit. Now that the proper OU is identified, let's navigate to Chrome User Policies. On the left, select Google Admin to return to the home screen. Select Devices. Then select Chrome Management. Select User and Browser Settings from the list. On the left, make sure to select the Enrollment OU. Then search for the category that contains Enrollment. In our example, we want to enroll all devices with this specific user account, and we want to force those devices to be placed in the Enrollment OU. IT staff will later be able to create a script or manually move devices to different OUs. To accomplish this, we will select Place Chrome Devices in User's Organization. If you don't set this option, devices enrolled will be defaulted placed at the topmost OU in your organization. Click OK. Next, under Enrollment Permissions, be sure to select Allow users in the organization to enroll new or re-enroll existing devices. Click Save. To prevent all other users from having the ability to enroll devices, simply click on the top-level OU and make sure Do Not Allow Users in this organization to enroll new or re-enroll existing devices is selected. Click Save. Your organization is now ready to distribute this user ID and password to your staging team or the white glove service partner you've selected for enrollment. To learn more, visit the Google Chrome Help Center.
This completes the admin role series on understanding the administrative and enrollment privileges. Next up, we'll walk through setting up organizational units and user accounts. Now that you've got your admins defined, we'll cover how to set up and manage users in organizational units, or OUs, deploy applications, and understand the 3 modes of Chrome OS. Let's start with how to manually set up your user accounts.
In this video, we'll show you how to create user accounts. There are a number of ways to create user accounts, but the most straightforward is to create them directly. To do this, select the user's control in the admin console and select Add New User. Entering the user's first and last name will automatically suggest a username that is unique to the environment, but you are free to change it if preferred. If you have a photo of the user, you can add it here, or they can add it themselves later if they wish in their user profile. As optional steps, you can choose what organizational unit to assign the user to, or provide a secondary email address, which will be the email address that receives the new account details, if you choose to send the user an email about their new account. If the user doesn't have one of these, or you choose not to use it, you have the option of entering your own address to capture the information for forwarding later. Add a phone number if desired. You can either choose to automatically generate a password for the user, or manually enter one of your own choosing here, recognizing that the minimum password length is 8 characters. And you can choose whether to force the password to be changed upon initial login. Having completed this, select Add New User. And done. If you have a large number of users, which might make manual entry an unattractive option, you can choose to bulk upload this information from a CSV file containing users that you might have exported from a database or spreadsheet. The template for the format of this file can be downloaded from this dialog by following the CSV template hot link.
Once your users are set up, you can organize them into organizational units for applying settings across different users and Chrome devices.
Organizational units are logical groups into which users and devices are placed. You can use the admin console to apply settings to different OUs, thereby creating specific rules for a particular set of users or Chrome machines. To create or manage OUs, select Organizational Units. Here we can see the organizational unit tree for the domain. Child organizational units inherit the settings from the parent by default unless specifically changed in each OU, and users are placed by default in the top-level organizational unit. Let's create an OU intended for designated users to enroll devices. Select the yellow plus. Give the OU a name and a corresponding description, and then determine where it should appear in the organizational hierarchy. In this case, we'll place it under the root. Select Create, and we can now begin adding users or devices to the organizational unit. You can relocate the organizational unit in the hierarchical tree after the fact, or edit aspects by selecting the appropriate icons. You can also choose to delete it, but be aware that it must first have all associated users and devices removed from it first.
Now that you've grouped your users into OUs, let's take a look at how to deploy applications to those different groups.
From the Google Admin homepage, click on Devices. Next, click on Chrome Management and select Apps and Extensions. App installation settings will be applied to users that are assigned to the OU being configured. Let's select the Remote Work Sales Team OU. Only users that are assigned to this OU will inherit these app settings. To add a Chrome extension, expand the Add App menu and select Add from Chrome Web Store. Let's search for the Google Keep extension and choose Select to add it. The default installation policy is set to allow installation. As you can see, other options include Force Install and Force Install plus Pin, which forces the app to be installed and also pins the app to the Chrome OS shelf. Select Force Install and click Save. Now let's move on to managing Android apps using Google Play. Choose the Add from Google Play option. Any apps approved within Google Play are specifically associated with your organization's domain. Therefore, users will only be allowed to install approved apps. Let's install the Palo Alto Global Protect VPN app. Select the app and click Select. We have the same installation options as we saw with Chrome extensions, such as Allow or Force Install. We also have an option to configure the app using JSON values. This is helpful to pre-configure app settings without requiring user intervention. Apps can also be added by URL. This is commonly used to configure progressive web apps. Progressive web apps use integrated web technologies to provide a similar look and feel to built-in apps. They also offer features such as real-time notifications and offline access. Choose the Add by URL option. Enter the following URL to install the Outlook Progressive web app. Select the option to open the app in its own window to provide an integrated app experience. Click Save. Change the installation policy to Force Install plus Pin and save your settings. Now that we have configured apps for this OU, we can enforce settings to either allow or block other apps from Google Play or the Chrome Web Store. Set the policy to block all other apps and extensions. Click Save. Finally, let's take a look at advanced app settings by selecting the gear icon. If your organization would like to restrict all Android apps, this can be done by selecting Do Not Allow from the drop-down menu. As mentioned previously, extensions can also be blocked or allowed based on specific permissions. For example, if your organization would like to block extensions that request access to video capture, you can simply check the Video Capture option and save your settings.
We've created 3 different deployment modes to help you manage your Chrome devices. Let's take a look at each now.
In this video, we are going to discuss the 3 different deployment modes for managed Chrome devices: signed-in user modes, managed guest session mode, and single app kiosk mode. Let's take a brief look at the differences between these modes and the circumstances that lend themselves to their use. Let's get started. First, signed-in user mode is a fairly straightforward and familiar method, where a user is required to provide a user ID and password to sign into the device. Many of the policies that govern the behavior of Chrome OS devices are user-based, so different users can sign into the same device and have entirely different experiences. In this mode, data is persistent across sessions, yet remains encrypted and inaccessible from other users who might sign into the same machine. Here is the user experience for a signed-in user mode. After powering up the device, the user is presented with a credential challenge screen. Entering a valid user ID and password permits them to proceed to the user environment and decrypts all files and data associated with that account. When a device is placed into Managed Guest Session mode, user policies are still applied but are enforced against a generic guest user. All interactions are ephemeral, in that no data persists on the device after each session ends. Administrators still maintain control over how the device behaves by pre-installing extensions, setting policies, or installing certificates. But there is no user account or associated credentials necessary to use the device. This mode is commonly used for shared device models like libraries and loaner devices, but is also becoming increasingly popular for VDI-based solutions, where a credential challenge is presented when initiating the virtual session, and isn't necessary to sign into the machine itself. Here you can see what the user sign-in process flow is for a device and managed guest session. Instead of a credential login, the user simply clicks on the icon to start the session and is immediately presented with a working environment. Finally, kiosk mode is a session that is intended for a shared user environment with no user account to sign in and designed to run a single app. Device administrators can designate which app should automatically open upon startup. This mode is most commonly used in kiosk scenarios, wayfinding touchscreens, and digital signage solutions. Here we can see the user experience when using a device in kiosk mode. Upon device boot, rather than the Chrome OS desktop, the user sees a designated application, and only that application. In this example, the user is directly presented with the Citrix Workspace app. Upon successful sign-in to Citrix, the user can begin using their virtual environment. To learn more, visit the Google Chrome Help Center.
That wraps up this segment on how to organize your users and differences between the 3 deployment modes. In our next segment, we'll take a look at how to configure security settings for devices, apps, and extensions. Security is of utmost importance when it comes to managing your workforce devices. In this segment, we'll look at best practices to lock down your fleet to ensure your devices remain managed by you and no one else. First, let's look at how to ensure your devices remain managed by setting our forced re-enrollment policy and how to disable a device.
As a Chrome administrator, you may be concerned about a bad actor who may take a corporate device without permission and try to factory reset it and use it for their own purposes. To set a forced re-enrollment policy, start by clicking the Devices tile on the homepage of the admin console. On the left, click on Chrome Management. Then click the Device Settings tab. Like most Chrome policies, these settings can be made at an organizational unit level, but in the interest of making the entire organization as secure as possible, we're choosing to set the policies at the root level to be inherited by the child OUs. Under Enrollment and Access, change the forced re-enrollment policy to force the device to automatically re-enroll after wiping. It's very likely that this policy is already set this way by default, but it's always a good idea to verify it. Additionally, you'll want to set the Verified Mode policy to require verified boot mode for verified access. This will ensure your managed devices won't be placed in developer mode. Click Save. Next, let's reduce risk in case one of your managed corporate devices becomes lost or stolen. We do this by disabling a device. Even though a username and password is required to unlock a device, and the forced re-enrollment policy prevents its reuse, you have the ability to proactively disable it altogether. Use the drop-down menu to navigate to Devices to view your managed devices. Here, you can select the device in question and choose to disable it. When you do so, you'll see a confirmation dialog box with the option to display language on the disabled device to help recover it. Unlike breaking a device, this option allows you to re-enable it if the device is recovered. Now let's take a look at the user experience. Upon booting up the device, this is how the instructions would appear on a disabled machine.
Next, let's review security settings best practices for password management and locking screens when idle.
When someone navigates to a website in Chrome that requires entering a username and password, the user sees a prompt asking if they'd like Chrome to manage the password for future visits. While this data is encrypted by default on Chrome OS devices, you may feel more comfortable disabling this feature for your enterprise users. To disable this feature, start by clicking the Devices tile on the homepage of the admin console. On the left, click on Chrome Management. Then click the User and Browser Settings tab. In the search feature, type Security. Like most Chrome policies, these settings can be made at an individual organizational unit level, but in the interest of making the entire organization as secure as possible, we're choosing to set these policies at the root level to be inherited by child OUs. Here, you can set the password manager policy from the default of Allow User to Decide to Never Allow Use of Password Manager. Click Save. Next, let's look at locking a screen. This helps to strengthen your security posture by reducing the likelihood of someone commandeering and using a signed-in device that's been left unattended by an employee. Select the idle settings to designate exactly how long a device can be idle before some action takes place, and what that action should be. Selecting Lock Screen ensures that a username and password are required before the device can be used again.
Now, let's see how to manage your security settings with Google Safe Browsing, downloads, and password management.
Safe Browsing is a Google service that shows warnings to users when they attempt to visit dangerous websites or download dangerous files. The service helps deter negligent behavior, even when it's not deliberate. As a Chrome administrator, you can configure this setting from the Google Admin Console by clicking Devices. On the left, click on Chrome Management. Then click the User and Browser Settings tab. In the search feature, type Safe Browsing. Like most Chrome policies, these settings can be made at an individual organizational unit level, but in the interest of making the entire organization as secure as possible, we're choosing to set these policies at the root level to be inherited by child OUs. Instead of permitting users to decide on the policy, set the Safe Browsing policy to Always Enable. In addition, you'll want to prevent users from disregarding the warning and proceeding to the website by setting the Disable Bypass policy to Do Not Allow. Beneath these policies, you can use the Google Admin Console to configure these settings for managed Chrome browser installations beyond Chrome OS to include Windows, Mac, iOS, and Android. Click Save. In the Safe Browsing Policy section, you can also configure settings that protect your environment by preventing users from downloading potentially harmful files and sharing them in your corporate network. Select the Download Restrictions setting in the Safe Browsing section. You can choose to block dangerous downloads or block potentially dangerous downloads for more robust security. Or you can prevent users from downloading files altogether. But this would be a very restrictive policy, making it difficult to perform actions like printing. Let's choose Block Dangerous Downloads. Looking at the icons associated with this policy, we see that not only can we use the Admin Console to enforce this policy on Chrome devices, but also on managed Chrome browsers on Windows and Mac devices. Go ahead and click Save. As a Chrome administrator, you can dramatically reduce your company's exposure to phishing-related malware and ransomware attacks by discouraging users from entering their corporate credentials on non-corporate or known nefarious sites. Set the password policy to notify admins as well as users if the corporate credentials are entered on a known or suspected phishing site, or any site outside the corporate domain. In addition, you can give users a link for resetting their passwords if they violate this policy. You can also add a whitelist of sites that are exempt from the password alert policy so that users can enter credentials on approved IDPs or SaaS applications.
And finally, let's walk through how to manage your security settings with application and extension management.
As a Chrome administrator, you can determine which apps and extensions your users are allowed to install, which apps and extensions can be force installed, and which ones to block altogether. This ensures your devices only run those applications that are approved and vetted by your organization. Start by clicking the Devices tile on the homepage of the admin console. On the left, click on Chrome Management. Then click the Apps and Extensions tab. We see the option to govern which applications fall into which category. You can block downloads except for only those apps and extensions you explicitly approve, or permit installation of apps from either the Chrome Web Store or the Google Play Store, or both. To explicitly approve or block an app or extension, simply hover over the yellow plus sign. Select the type of app you'd like to add: Chrome apps from the Chrome Web Store, or Android apps from the Google Play Store. In the app catalog, locate the app you want to install. Let's select the Google Keep app. Click Select. Under Installation Policy, you can choose Block, Allow Install, Force Install, or Force Install plus PIN. Click Save. For more granular control, selecting the gear icon will bring up additional settings. Here, you can govern apps and extensions that can be allowed based on their type: extension, theme, packaged apps, and the like, or by their permissions and actions. For example, you can block any extension that needs access to experimental APIs, or one that requests full-screen escape override. To learn more, visit the Google Chrome Help Center.
That's it for configuring security settings for your devices, apps, and extensions. Let's move on to our last segment, how to set up managed guest sessions and VDI solutions. In our final segment, we'll walk you through how to set up a managed guest sessions and move enrolled devices within an OU to receive the policy.
Managed Guest Sessions is a fast and secure solution for deploying virtual desktops and other web-based software without the need to create or sync user accounts. This makes it a great option to rapidly deploy for work-from-home initiatives. We will quickly highlight how to create a basic managed guest session policy and apply it to a newly made organizational unit. First, let's create an OU by clicking on the Organizational Units tile on the homepage of the admin console. To create a new organizational unit, click the yellow plus sign button. Let's call this OU VDI Fleet. Add a description and then click Create. To set up managed guest sessions, navigate back to the Google Admin homepage and select Devices. On the left, click on Chrome Management. Then click Managed Guest Session Settings. Select the VDI Fleet OU. In this drop-down menu, admins can choose whether or not to auto-launch a guest session when the device boots. If auto-launch is not selected, a user will be prompted before proceeding. Let's choose auto-launch. Give the session a name and set a login delay that makes sense for your organization. For example, set a longer delay if your policies also allow for logged-in users. This will give users time to log in and bypass the guest session. This completes the basic configuration to enable managed guest sessions. As a reminder, devices must be moved into this OU for the settings to be applied. Let's do that now. Using the shortcut menu, select Devices. By default, all devices will enroll to the top-level OU. Select that OU and a list of devices will appear. Select the devices you want to move. Click the Move icon. Then select the VDI Fleet OU and click Move. Your Chrome devices are now ready to launch your newly configured policy. Next steps should include adding web links and Chrome apps specific to your use case. Managed guest sessions help corporations keep information secure by deleting all saved data at the end of each session. This makes it an ideal solution for public spaces such as libraries and hotels, or for retail back of house where employees can have quick access to email, HR tools, or time clocks.
In the next few videos, you can watch demos on how to get started with Cameo, Citrix Workspace, Parallel Desktop, and VMware Workspace.
In this tutorial, we will learn how to update your Managed Guest Session policy to auto-launch your Cameo virtual environment. A quick reminder, Managed Guest Session policies need to be applied to the same OU where your devices are applied. Start by clicking the Devices tile on the home page of the Admin console. On the left, click on Chrome Management, then click the Managed Guest Session Settings tab. Choose the VDI Fleet OU that was previously set up. The settings to auto-launch a Managed Guest Session were previously configured. Scroll down to the section Startup. Insert the URL for your Cameo portal. Then, choose Automatically Launch the browser on startup. Click Save. Now, every time a new session starts, the browser will automatically launch and the user will be redirected to the URL provided. Now let's take a look at the user experience. Go ahead and reboot your Chromebook to refresh your policy. After the device boots, the Managed Guest Session icon will appear and will auto-launch into a new session. The URL you configured will be automatically launched and you're ready to log in and gain access to your virtual applications. For more information, reference the Quick Start Guide, which is linked in the description of this video. In this tutorial, we will learn how to add Citrix Workspace to your Managed Guest Session policy. There are two simple ways, through the web browser or using a Chrome app. We'll show you how to do both. Let's begin by setting configurations for the browser option. Start by clicking the Devices tile on the home page of the Admin console. On the left, click on Chrome Management. Then click the Managed Guest Session Settings tab. Choose the VDI Fleet OU that was previously set up. The settings to auto-launch a Managed Guest Session were previously configured. Scroll down to the section Startup. Insert the URL for your Citrix storefront. Then, choose Automatically Launch the browser on startup. Click Save. Now, every time a new session starts, the browser will automatically launch and the user will be redirected to the URL provided. Next, we'll show you how to install and configure the Citrix Workspace Chrome app. At left, click Google Admin to return to the home page. Start by clicking the Devices tile on the home page. On the left, click on Chrome Management. Then click Apps and Extensions. Select the VDI Fleet OU and click on the Managed Guest Session tab. To add a Chrome app, highlight the yellow plus sign in the bottom right corner. Select the Chrome Web Store button and search for Citrix Workspace. Locate Citrix Workspace app for Chrome and click Select. Change the installation policy from Force Install to Force Install plus Pin to pin an icon on the user's dock at the bottom. The final step to connect your Citrix storefront will require creating a configuration in the form of a JSON object. Once it's created, paste your JSON object under Policy for Extensions and click Save. For more information on how to create a JSON configuration, reference the Quick Start Guide, which is linked in the description of this video. A Citrix Workspace icon will now be available in every session for the user to be redirected to your Citrix storefront. Now let's take a look at the user experience. Go ahead and reboot your Chromebook to refresh your policy. After the device boots, the Managed Guest Session icon will appear and will auto-launch into a new session. The application you configured will be automatically installed and you're ready to log in and gain access to your virtual applications. In this video, we will show how to deploy third-party solution Parallels Desktop to users on Chrome OS devices and implement cloud policies to configure settings from the Google Admin console. To get started, purchase Parallels Desktop licenses. Once purchased, you will receive a URL link with the order number. The link directs to a page in the Google Admin console where the licenses included in your order can be redeemed. Click Redeem. The licenses are now added to your domain, and you can see them on the app licensing page. To run Parallels Desktop, it's recommended to use Chrome OS devices with minimum specifications of at least an i5 or i7 processor, 16 gigabytes of RAM, and 128 gigabytes of storage. Now that the licenses are redeemed, let's walk through distributing licenses to users. Start by creating an organizational unit in the Google Admin console for Chrome OS devices. First, Navigate to the Organization Units page by clicking on the 3-bar navigation menu. Hover over Directory and select Organizational Units. To create a sub-organizational unit, locate where you want to create your sub-OU and click on the plus icon. Name your OU and give it a description. Then click Create. Now that your sub-OU is created, let's navigate back to the Apps and Extensions page to turn on your parallel desktop license for your sub-OU. Click on the 3-bar navigation menu. Hover over Devices. Click on Chrome and choose Apps and Extensions, then select App Licensing. Now select your sub-OU, and then turn on your Parallels license. Click Save. Now, let's configure the settings in the Parallels OU. From the pull-down menu, select Settings. Search for Parallels to quickly access the settings. Administrators have the ability to configure user settings in the Google Admin Console, such as allowing specific users to access Parallels Desktop. To enable Parallels Desktop, set the policy to allow users to use Parallels Desktop and select Accept. To specify where your Windows baseline images are stored, enter the URL from which the Windows template can be downloaded. To verify the integrity of the Windows image, enter the signature known as the SHA-256 hash value. To learn how to set a baseline Windows image location, please be sure to check out the Parallels Desktop Administration Guide, which can be found at the link in the description. Go ahead and save your settings. Now let's take a look at the user experience. Now that the settings are configured, the user can launch Parallels Desktop from the icon in the Chrome OS shelf. Once the user logs in, they can quickly access apps like Microsoft Office or other legacy line of business applications through Parallels Desktop. Applications accessed through Parallels Desktop run locally on the Chrome OS device and are available for use offline. In this tutorial, we will learn how to add VMware Horizon to your Managed Guest Session policy. There are 2 simple ways, through the web browser or using a Chrome app. We'll show you how to do both. Let's begin by setting configurations for the browser option. Start by clicking the Devices tile on the homepage of the Admin Console. On the left, click on Chrome Management. Then click the Managed Guest Session Settings tab. Choose the VDI Fleet OU that was previously set up. The settings to auto-launch a managed guest session were previously configured. Scroll down to the section Startup. Insert the URL for your VMware Horizon portal. Then, choose Automatically Launch the browser on startup. Click Save. Now, every time a new session starts, the browser will automatically launch and the user will be redirected to the URL provided. Next, we'll show you how to install and configure the VMware Horizon Chrome app. At left, click Google Admin to return to the home page. Start by clicking the Devices tile on the home page. On the left, click on Chrome Management. Then click Apps and Extensions. Select the VDI Fleet OU and click on the Managed Guest Session tab. To add a Chrome app, highlight the yellow plus sign in the bottom right corner. Select the Chrome Web Store button and search for VMware Horizon. Locate VMware Horizon Client for Chrome and click Select. Change the installation policy from Force Install to Force Install plus Pin to pin an icon on the user's dock at the bottom. The final step to connect your Horizon portal will require creating a configuration in the form of a JSON object. Once it's created, paste your JSON object under Policy for Extensions and click Save. For more information on how to create a JSON configuration, reference the Quick Start Guide, which is linked in the description of this video. A VMware Horizon icon will now be available in every session for the user to be redirected to your Horizon portal. Now let's take a look at the user experience. Go ahead and reboot your Chromebook to refresh your policy. After the device boots, the Managed Guest Session icon will appear and will auto-launch into a new session. The application you configured will be automatically installed, and you're ready to log in and gain access to your virtual applications. To learn more, visit the Google Chrome Help Center.
That's a wrap for how to get started with Chrome Enterprise. Thank you for joining. If you missed the live Q&A and have additional questions, feel free to email chromeonair@google.com. Please also take a moment to fill out the feedback form to the right of this broadcast. Thanks again for joining. Don't forget to register for this upcoming session.